For more than a decade, Daniel Harper counted down to a single moment. Every extra shift he worked, every small luxury he denied himself, carried one quiet promise. One day, he would take his wife, Melissa, on the vacation they had always talked about but never seemed able to afford. It was meant to be their reward for years of struggle, sacrifice, and patience, a long-awaited escape from routine into rest, laughter, and renewed love. Daniel was known among friends as meticulous and disciplined. While others spent impulsively, he saved. 12 years of careful planning went into the trip, a tropical destination, a beautiful beachfront hotel, and a week with no schedules, alarms, or obligations. For Daniel, this wasn't just a holiday. It was proof that perseverance paid off. On social media, Melissa shared snippets of their excitement in the weeks leading up to departure. "We finally did it," one caption read. Friends congratulated them, calling it a dream trip and a second honeymoon. No one could have imagined how quickly that dream would collapse. The couple arrived at their destination on a bright afternoon, the sun reflecting off clear blue water. Surveillance footage from the airport later showed them smiling, holding hands, wheeling a single large suitcase between them. Hotel staff recalled Daniel being polite, almost giddy, asking detailed questions about activities, breakfast times, and sunset views. Melissa seemed quieter but content, posing for photos on the balcony overlooking the ocean. For the first 2 days, everything appeared perfect. They explored the area, dined at local restaurants, and shared pictures that painted the image of a couple finally enjoying the fruits of long patience. Daniel messaged a co-worker back home, "Worth every year of waiting." The third night was when things quietly began to unravel. Hotel guests later reported hearing a couple arguing in a nearby room, though no one could clearly make out the words. Arguments between couples on vacation weren't unusual, and no complaint was made. Security logs showed nothing out of the ordinary. The hallway cameras captured Daniel and Melissa returning to their room just after 10 p.m., walking a short distance apart. That would be the last confirmed sighting of Daniel alive. The following morning, housekeeping knocked repeatedly on the door when the couple missed their scheduled checkout extension. There was no response. Assuming the guests were sleeping in, staff returned later, only to find the door still locked from the inside. Hotel policy required a welfare check. When the door was finally opened, the staff froze. Daniel was lying motionless on the floor beside the bed. Melissa was seated on the mattress, wrapped in a blanket, staring straight ahead. She appeared unharmed but deeply shaken. Emergency services were called immediately, but it was already too late. Daniel was pronounced dead at the scene. At first glance, the room showed no obvious signs of forced entry. The door was locked, windows secured, and the couple's belongings were neatly arranged. But the scene felt wrong. Daniel was only in his early 40s, physically active, with no known life-threatening medical conditions. His sudden death raised immediate questions. Melissa told responding officers that Daniel had complained of feeling unwell during the night. According to her, he said he felt dizzy and short of breath before collapsing. She claimed she tried to wake him but panicked, unsure what to do in a foreign country. By the time she realized something was seriously wrong, it was too late. Her account sounded plausible at first. An autopsy was ordered, and investigators began reviewing surveillance footage and phone records. As the days passed, inconsistencies emerged. Toxicology reports revealed substances in Daniel's system that he was not prescribed. The amounts weren't immediately lethal on their own, but combined, they raised red flags. Detectives also learned that Daniel had recently updated his life insurance policy. Melissa, they discovered, was the sole beneficiary. Friends back home were stunned. Daniel had been cautious to the point of obsession. He rarely drank, avoided unfamiliar medications, and was meticulous about his health. The idea that he would ingest unknown substances voluntarily didn't align with who he was. Investigators re-interviewed Melissa. This time, her story shifted slightly. She admitted they had argued that night about money. According to her, Daniel had become anxious, worrying they were overspending. What was meant to be a celebration of years of saving had turned into tension over receipts and expenses. Phone data revealed deleted messages between Melissa and an unknown contact shortly before the trip. When pressed, she claimed it was a friend offering travel advice. But investigators were unconvinced. The messages were unrecoverable, but the timing added another layer of suspicion. Still, suspicion alone wasn't proof. The case stalled in a gray area between tragic accident and something far darker. Without clear evidence of foul play, local authorities were cautious. Daniel's death was initially classified as undetermined, pending further review. Back in Florida, Daniel's family refused to accept uncertainty. His sister described him as a man who lived for tomorrow. She couldn't believe that after 12 years of waiting, his life would end quietly in a hotel room with unanswered questions. The family hired a private investigator who began combing through financial records. What he found was troubling. In the months leading up to the trip, Melissa had accumulated significant personal debt, credit cards Daniel didn't know about. There were also online searches on her phone related to medication interactions and insurance payouts. Individually, none of it proved guilt. Together, it painted a disturbing picture. As pressure mounted, Melissa retained a lawyer and stopped cooperating fully with investigators. Media attention grew, turning the once private tragedy into a public mystery. Headlines questioned what really happened on the vacation Daniel waited 12 years to take. In the end, no arrest was made. Daniel's death remains officially unresolved, a case suspended between accident and intent. Melissa returned home, eventually leaving Florida altogether. She has never been charged, and she has never publicly spoken about the case beyond her initial statements. For Daniel's family, the lack of closure is its own kind of sentence. They remember him not for how he died, but for how he lived, patiently, faithfully, always looking ahead. The vacation was meant to mark the beginning of a new chapter, a time to slow down, reconnect, and enjoy the life he worked so hard to build. Instead, it became the final page. Today, the photos from that trip still circulate online. Palm trees, sunsets, a smiling couple on a balcony overlooking the sea. To strangers, they look like memories of joy. To those who know the story, they are haunting reminders of how quickly dreams can turn into unanswered questions. A man saved for 12 years to take the trip of a lifetime. He never made it home,